Welcome in, everyone. RFK Refugees Podcast. Ted here, John here to break down another mixed weekend of DC soccer. A very bad, very awful, not good DC United game and an excellent Spirit game. But before we get into that, John, as we always do, we will keep this for some of our listeners at home as brief as we can. But how was your weekend? In 15 words or less.
Weekend was good. Soccer not so great. Kind of feel tired, but can't complain.
Good.
I think I was probably around 15 words. Ted, how about you?
Decent. I had watched soccer. The soccer from the local team, the men's team at least, was not good. The national team game was good, and some of the other stuff was good. So a lot of soccer, man. There's just soccer all around right now.
Too many
everywhere.
We've said this occasionally. Is it too much soccer? Don't know. Certainly can't watch all of it. There's probably like some single individuals that don't have jobs and somehow stole like streaming passwords or whatever and are able to watch all of the soccer. But other than that, it's too much. It's not doable.
Yeah, and if you're Fox Sports and you put 5 of your Euro games on Fubo TV, which costs $80 a month, and they just announced they will have the women's 2025 Euros to the collective groan of the entire soccer audience. I don't know like what Fox Sports did or why I guess they just are the ones putting the money, or they have the inside track with UEFA and FIFA, but man, they are just gobbling up like international tournaments.
I feel like with FIFA, the only thing that talks is money. So I feel like I think it's just that. I think they're probably just stroking the biggest checks, and then they get it. But has there been more dialogue about Landon Donovan's hair situation? That's been my favorite thing about all of it, and that he tweets to Kyle Martino or talks if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm sure that you do. If you're watching this show, you do. There's a picture of Landon Donovan doing pregame where he's got a like giant V shaved in the side of his head, basically, and people were like, that was weird, wonder what that's about. And then I think it was Kyle Martino, pretty sure it was, or maybe it was Mike McGee, one of those two, tweets a text conversation with Landon and then puts it on Instagram saying Landon Donovan had hair transplant surgery 2 weeks ago, and the doctor said it wouldn't be visible from television. And Landon was like, well, I guess he was wrong. I guess that's not correct. So tough break here for them. I mean, obviously, I've also never seen hair transplant from the side before, so that is a wild V cut out of the side. Hopefully they put him if they just put him on the other side of the desk, he's fine. They just got to make sure that or maybe he's got a V on the other side too. I don't know. Poor Donovan.
Landon, buddy, just shave it.
That's easy for this guy. Look at this guy. That's easy for him to say. That's if you look at if you ever see a V coming out the side of my head, don't judge me. It was needed. I had to do it. So Landon, solidarity, brother. Although your hairline's way worse than mine, but you're only like a few years older than me too.
His hairline was like in his like late 20s. His hairline was bad, so it's just gotten progressively worse.
But then again, he also scores a lot of goals in MLS, and he has had a great career. So I can't say too much. Although Kai Kamara just passed him on the all-time goal scorer list. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about that very briefly. Do you feel like when you have a guy who's, I don't want to call him an accumulator, but a guy whose career just keeps going and going, does that cheapen the goal scoring record for that person? Kai Kamara, he's just been around, and he just continues being. He's had many great seasons. I don't know. What do you feel about Kai Kamara being the second leading scorer all time in MLS?
I mean, I think it's deserved. I love Kai Kamara. I guess he's been just a personality who's been near. His story has been really good, and I guess this is something I was not aware of, is that Kai Kamara and Chris Wondolowski, the two all-time goal scoring leaders, played D2, like Division II NCAA soccer. Like, these guys were not Division I prospects, and these are guys who kind of really had to fight to get where they are. We talk about the guy who overtook, before Landon Donovan came and got it was, Jaime Moreno. I don't think it cheapens it. I don't think soccer's a weirder sport. There's a lot of other sports, MLB, all the other American sports that we have, those are the premier leagues around the world where, obviously in soccer, it's a little bit different. Yes, the Premier League is probably the best league in the world, the most expensive league in the world. But, players aren't really judged, maybe they're judged a little bit, but they're judged on the total goal output. Like we talk about Ronaldo scoring like something like the most goals or passing Pele's record or something like that. So it's a different atmosphere. I think from an MLS perspective, I think it's very cool that Kai Kamara is up there. I like him as a player. I think he's ex-player. I don't think it cheapens anything. It's that they've just had the longevity they've had, and even to play in MLS, which isn't the Premier League, but it's still a high professional league that requires a lot of discipline. To be doing it that long is still very impressive.
And they wouldn't keep signing him if he didn't keep scoring. So thus it makes a lot of sense. Similar to Bradley Wright Phillips was in a similar or what was it? Not Bradley. What's the Wright Phillips that scored all the goals? Was it Bradley? What's the one that I'm thinking of from the Red Bulls?
It's Bradley Wright Phillips.
Is it Bradley? I was thinking I got Sean and Bradley mixed up in my head for
Sean's the one who played for Arsenal. So,
and then for Phoenix United.
Yes. All right. We've stalled enough. We've stalled enough. At least it was semi-soccer related. Like, come on.
We talked about the Wright Phillipses. We talked about USL. We talked about all sorts of D2 soccer.
We're talking soccer, man. We're talking. This is the soccer podcast. We're both fans of the game. All right. We've stalled enough. Let's get to let's open up the door of elephant dung that we're about to walk right through in DC United. DC United 4-1 losers to the Houston Dynamo. John, you were the person who actually paid money and tickets even to go to this game. So the high moment, you had a high moment at the beginning, which was our flag is now on display at Audi Field, and that was probably the high moment of the game.
Oh no, that for sure was. And also I want to be clear, I did not pay money to go see this because I would never do that. I want to see who it was. Let me make sure that I get it right. Well, I'll find it. One of our Patreon supporters helped me get into this game. And if you ever are looking to a way into my heart, it's to get me into Audi Field for free. So keep on doing that, folks. I love you for it. That was that. Thank you to, I believe it's Jen, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Jen, who helped us hang up the flag. I think it's really cool that we have a presence in the stadium now. I think it's also very cool that I think it'll be visible on TV sometime. So that's great. If you're a season ticket holder and you're near a balcony on the other part of any other part of the field other than 131, I think, let me know, because we would definitely buy another one of these and put it up, or put something else, maybe something about green sauce, just to troll our loving fans and my co-hosts, but probably not. But yeah, no, it was a hot and steamy evening. But also great turnout, I thought. Or the numbers, I think, was 17,000 or something like that. Mm-hmm. It was a loud 17,000, and the Chico stand was in full voice until about, I think, maybe the third goal, and then they just sort of sat it out. I don't blame them. I don't blame them at that point. Yeah, but let's get into the rest of it.
Yeah, let's talk. The first, and I'm gonna start on the positive, because we're gonna get to the negative. We're gonna get to what all this means. We're going to get to next week and how bad things looked. But, I think to Troy's credit, he made a change that might have been considered necessary. He swapped out a lot of pieces. Martin Rodriguez makes his first start. The team moved to, back to sort of the four-man back line. They tried, I guess, to maybe try to overload things a little bit more in the midfield. I thought the shift as a whole, like for the first half, was working. And I thought for that first, half of the game, first 40, 50 minutes of the game, until the, I guess, the 51st minute and then the 54th minute, I thought DC were the better side. They generated more of the chances. Even early in the second half, they had an opportunity to go up 2-0 in this game. And potentially we'd be talking about a completely different performance. An excellent, really just sort of some excellent passing. I thought Ted Kudu-Pietro and Jacob Burrell looked more active going forward. I thought they were able to link up a little bit better. And Martin Rodriguez as well. If this guy was on like, $500,000, $600,000, I would be like, maybe you keep this guy around. He's max cap level, but he can do it. But the fact his contract, I think, is his biggest liability.
He would have to start scoring at a pretty impressive clip here in the last half of this year, like kind of a crazy one to have it work out.
Well, and maybe it wasn't noticeable, but what was noticeable to me was where they sort of played him in this game, and he was very much like, just be wherever you think you need to be. He got a
track back. He was in a free roaming situation. He wasn't stapled to the sideline. He was not in a defensive position. He was finding himself in a lot of defensive, what I would like overload situations where he was having to get out of situations with 2 or 3 players closing on him. I just want to read you his stats real quick because he stood out the entire game for me. I was sitting with my friend Nancy and she was talking about how great he looked. And I was like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I agree with you. By the way, he had the highest rating on FootMob for DC United. 95% passing out of 41 passes, created 2 chances, 53 touches, 2 for 2 on dribbles, 6 passes into the final third, 3 for 3 on long balls, 2 for 2 on tackles, 6 recoveries, 5 out of 7 on ground duels, and 0 out of 2 on aerial duels. I think the ground duels are incorrect because I saw him get muscled off the ball about 6 times. Maybe those weren't counted, but other than that, like I said, he was finding himself in situations where they would close on him, and he did not get nervous. He didn't play. I think he played 1 or 2 balls that I thought were too square that could have caused problems. One of them ended up being a break, but I was really impressed with what I saw with him, and I think that he's going to get more time now. I think Troy. I mean, he has to. We'll talk about why he has to. But I think even that said, I think Troy would look at this performance and say, "All right, I need to reevaluate sort of what I think about this player because he can do something."
And I think he kind of, even if he's playing the way he was playing that role, I think kind of freed up a lot of other players to do other things. I thought Click was a little bit better than we've seen him in the past couple of weeks, just sort of able to, be able to push forward a little bit. I thought, it gave DC an outlet to where they didn't have to really like push the ball direct to Benteke. They could move the ball sort of through the midfield and they could try to find, outlets. And also just his overall like calmness and demeanor on the ball. He was sort of able to dribble himself out of pressure. It looked like when he was on the ball that it looked like he was in more control of the game. So from that perspective, I agree. I think he was impressive, and it really kind of made me look to say, man, if we could go out and find a player that can have that type of work rate up and down the field and play that free role, and he is, a designated player level, and he can produce also like just incredible, shot creating opportunities and incredible chances like a Lucho, maybe we got something here going forward. So, yeah. So like the first half particularly like was decent. Garrison Tubbs, I want to call him out as well.
Yes.
Picked up the concussion. This is like another sign of we picked him up. We paid a fairly hefty sum. And I think I talked to some people I knew in Atlanta. I was like, what is he? He says, well, a little bit of an incomplete project. He has grown significantly, and it stinks so much that he picked up the concussion in sort of a collision, I believe, with Dahomey.
Yep.
And got up and just looked like very kind of you can just tell
he had the knee wobble.
Yeah,
the knee wobble going on.
The knee wobble, the kind of like I know where I am, but I also like something's not feeling right type look. You can just tell that. So I hope, I wish him the best. I hope, I don't want the team, obviously, if he's hurt, if he still has that concussion, but, some bright spots going forward that, hey, this team can maybe develop around a player like this.
It helps that it is it's our second defensive prospect, right? We've got Matai and we've got Garrison. Everybody else other than that is in their prime or at the end of whatever their prime is going to be. And these are 2 players that you can hopefully build around. I thought he looked great. I think he looked very confident. I think he's very physical, but he's also very smart with the ball. I think you and I have talked about this. You're hesitant to compare him to Donovan Pines because it feels like the easy shorthand. And it feels like we're like, well, yeah, of course you're saying it looks like Donovan Pines. But he does. He does play like him, except for he does not appear to have the Bambi on ice in crucial situations part of his game so far. I hope the concussion recovery is quick. Like you said, I hope it's not. I don't need to rush him back quite clearly because we are who we are, and we are where, and we'll get into that. But I am really excited at the prospect of him. I thought, Matai is still very, very young. Garrison Tubbs is like 4 years older than he is, 4 years older than he is. And he looks it. So, but I think the two of them are players that need to grow with this club, and they have to have patience around them and see where they go.
Yeah, Tubbs is still a good prospect. I think that's. I'm sorry. Matthias Boney, I think, is still a good prospect.
Yeah,
did not cover himself in glory in this game as well. All right, I think that covers. They win the PK. Benteke doing sort of a nice job to initiate the contact. They get the PK. They get the goal. Probably deserved from how they played. They had a couple other moments as well. I think Teku Di Pietro also, or Mural as well, I think had a couple shots and opportunities. Other than that, I mean, it was going very well. And then the way it collapsed was almost like spectacular.
mm-hmm.
It was 51st minute. Matej Akamboni, of course, I think subbed in. I think Tubbs picked up the injury. I think it was a first half sub for Tubbs in came
injury
Akamboni
time.
In injury time.
There were 10 minutes of first half injury time because of the water breaks and because of that sub.
Yeah. And then so they get to halftime 1-0. I think, okay, let's just, Matej Akamboni gets there, and then Matej Akamboni, unfortunately, jumps up in the air. Maybe some debate about, if you're a DC fan, as to where's his arm supposed to go. But he very clearly making himself bigger, puts his hand out. It's going to get called every time. And it gets called, I think, sort of right off the bat. There was no VAR there. It's also not coming back off VAR. There's no clear and obvious error in my mind from that. It's a PK. It's unfortunate for Matai, and I think maybe that kind of impacted him the rest of the game. Not to give up a PK like that, but it's 1-1, and then like 3 minutes later, Houston storms back and wins a goal. And I mean, this, if you want to talk about alarm bells, it's sort of like the response after that. It's like the team maybe dropping their shoulders a little bit. I thought they still kind of pressed the game. And then comes, I don't know what moment it was, but let's anything you want to talk about the goals or the give ups or anything like that.
I want to draw out a contrast about reaction to goals. So this is, I mean, hard to say what this is and if it means anything. It probably doesn't. So Benteke wins his penalty and scores in the 38th minute. Ben Olsen is up off the bench. He's clapping. He's clapping a lot. He's winging his arms in the air the way you've seen him do a million times, trying to tell his team that's nothing. That's absolutely nothing. We are right in this. We have the capability to do this. No problem. He is on the bench even when the penalty is awarded. He is trying to rally up his team, saying, "Doesn't matter. We got this." Troy does not do that, but very, very clearly, and both in that moment where Ben's doing that and throughout the game when Houston are relentlessly trying to score 1,000 goals in the second half against a 9-man United, the Ben Olsen mentality is extremely in the Houston Dynamo DNA. It's right there. You can see all the Bennyball stuff you want to talk. You can see the relentlessness. You can see the competitiveness. You can see the trying to, the not say die, the never quit type of mentality. You could see it in the Dynamo team. And I noticed him doing that. I was like, I've seen that before. And then, in the second half, it's all the avalanche falls. The mentality of DC United falls off a cliff. They have the cascading failure that comes from a lack of confidence and not knowing how to overcome adversity. And then a leader finding himself in that same situation. And we'll talk about that, I'm sure. But it was a real dichotomy that you should notice and you should pay attention to, because if there's one thing you can say about Ben Olsen, is he made chicken soup out of chicken-s, as they say, oftentimes, and a lot of it was solely done on the basis and the strength of mentality and belief and trying to make your team as mentally strong as possible when you know that you don't have the players. So I think that that's something that should be noticed, appreciated, and talked about.
Yeah, and good words on Ben. I want to, and you talk about, to me, they have Hector Herrera out there who's been like a consummate captain as well. And I thought he was very good in this game as well, kind of keeping sort of Houston afloat. Despite the fact that I think the press was kind of working even after the goal. I think DC was the better side in sort of pressing and getting opportunities. I think I still think this is a case where DC lost it. And I think the moment they lost this game was Benteke goes up. Benteke is also he was on a yellow card suspension warning. Goes up.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Even better.
He was his fourth he was on his fourth yellow. He was a good boy in the 1-0 loss to Atlanta. But unfortunately he picked up the yellow. How
do you feel about the yellow, by the way? That felt soft looking right in front of me. He ran into a stationary player essentially and ran through him. Did that feel like a yellow to you on TV?
To me, I looked at it and I can see where he got the yellow. I think he's frustrated because he thinks I'm the forward. I'm going for the ball. I'm not. That's how it looked.
That was my feeling as being in that corner.
But I think the fact if he runs up and kind of jumps and jumps up, I think it's the fact that he leaps kind of forward
into him.
He's also you do have to, as a player, you do have to be aware of where defenders are. And just because you're going for the ball doesn't mean you can clatter into a guy, bounce him off when he's looking at the ball trying to back up, and you have to still be aware of that. Maybe a little bit harsh on the yellow, but I don't know if you can really come up with an argument that it couldn't be a yellow.
What's your degree of conviction on it? If you're refereeing in that game and you see that play, is it 100% a yellow, or is it like slightly gray for you? You're saying it's not.
It's a little gray. I'm trying to think like what his, if that was maybe his, second or third foul, and it was kind of like, okay, I need to do this. Does maybe the defender make a little bit of meal of it?
He had committed 3 fouls.
3 fouls. So, okay. So that maybe was his third foul, and maybe it was a little bit, he's like, okay, I need to rein you in. That probably was his third foul.
It's because he wasn't around much longer.
But it's more, okay, he's suspended for that game. That's bad. But then to lose your cool the way you do that, you are the captain of this team. You are given the captain's armband. Yes, Birnbaum is the captain. You're the vice captain. Birnbaum's out. You are the leader. You are the captain on that field. Everybody, all of the goodwill you've gotten by traveling when you were hurt, to Cincy, all of you done, and then to pull a move like that, to get in the face of the referee when the team was actually pushing the game a little bit, even after the goal. You talk about responses after the goal. They had a moment where I said, like, I think it was like just some like nice, clever little one-touch passing between Ted Kudu-Pietro and Click, and it fell right to Benteke, and he tries sort of an acrobatic. I mean, he buries that in the back of the net. I mean, that's potentially like a goal of the week.
Yeah, it was a side volley where the ball did not touch the ground from 3 increasingly acrobatic passes. So I was like, this is gonna be it for sure. But no, it wasn't. It was close.
Yeah, it was close. I mean, but you say things like that, and that's a moment where you're like, okay, yes, hard done, but 2-1, but you're still in control of this game. You're still able to push the game. And then to have a reaction like that, I gotta say, I am still, and we'll get to we have some questions related to this. I am still, yes, let's re-sign Benteke. But this type of moment made me go, man, like, I don't know. Like that moment really negated, because it was very clear it dug this team into a deeper hole, and it was completely self-inflicted and completely unnecessary. If they lose this game 2-1, but they generate chances and they finish with 11 and they push the game, and maybe it just doesn't come. Yeah, it stinks, and it's not great, but it's much better than the situation we found ourselves in. And I honestly just thought it was like, if it's any other player on the field, it's a little different. To have that come from your captain is just, it's inexcusable. And I've seen some people say it might be multiple games. I haven't seen that. The referee went straight to the red after that. So maybe it was like, well, you've already got the yellow. Now you're going to pull this. That's a second yellow. You're gone. I don't know if he gave him a straight red. I don't know. We'll see what the disciplinary committee comes out.
That's what it looked like from right in front of me. Did he make contact with the referee?
He did. I don't know if he made contact, but he definitely like shoved himself into his face and said, and was very upset with the call. And
could you lip read? Did it seem like
I couldn't lip read. I don't know what I had to go back and watch it again. I can't really see what he said, but it was aggressive. It was aggressive.
I don't feel as strongly as you do about sort of what it says, what it portends, and sort of what. I mean, it is inexcusable. I think that a lot of things happen in soccer are inexcusable but understandable. I think this was a manifestation of frustration. I think that it screwed his team clearly, and cost them the game in the end of it, because they made it so it was impossible for them to come back really with all of your offense off the field. But I think it's somewhat I think it's understandable frustration. I think he has done, and you said you already said you're for re-signing him.
I'm still for it. Yeah.
I think he has done enough to win games for this team that I can put him losing a game for us on the side and say, not. I also too would love to know if he spoke to the team afterwards.
I was checking his Instagram to see if there was any type of apology.
He doesn't need to apologize to,
true,
us.
True.
I hope that in the locker room he was like, "That's on me. I apologize." And I hope, I don't know if Ted or I are probably going to be on the press conference this week. Probably not going to be on it. But if we are, I hope someone asks Troy, "Did he say anything?" Because I think that's more important. Because the team was left high and dry by him. They were already shorthanded, and basically what was a manifestation of losing your cool, blowing your top, it screwed them more than anybody else. And now we'll talk about what's going to happen in Red Bulls. But it was just to your point, the game was still in the balance, even down 2-1. It was certainly a winnable, or at least a drawable game. And then as soon as that happened, everyone in the stadium knew that was that. It was over.
Yeah, and
it was.
Yeah, it was. It got worse from there. I mean, I think DC pressed the game a little bit, but they really didn't have much. There's nothing I can really recall. Going back to that point, I do want to say, like, I think there are elevated expectations from a guy like Benteke, who's a captain, not just a captain. He is also a guy who has been a professional for years and should know better. And I don't think this is something that is going to sink this team. As I pointed out in my tweet, despite everything, the team is like 2 points out of a playoff spot. We can judge on what that means, or what the playoffs mean as far as anything that's concerned. But like the season is not over. They could lose just as horribly next week against the Red Bulls, and the season still is probably not over. That's just the way MLS is. But it's just I hope this is not a situation and that sort of buries this team to where any sort of good that you could have gotten out of this year kind of evaporates with them. So and that's my worry about a moment like this. Even though I think we overstate sometimes. I feel like fans maybe feel like a loss like this maybe a little more than the players, because the players just kind of say, okay, now let's move on. We'll go to the next one. Case in point, what happened with the U.S. men's national team? They got trounced 5-1 against Colombia. Maybe an unfair result, all things considered, how the game actually shook out. And then they go against Brazil, play much better, and get a 1-1 draw. So, I feel like sometimes we as fans and as pundits kind of oversell some results like that. So
I also heard some conversation around, is this a habit for Benteke, and is he a hothead? He's gotten 6 red cards in 515 matches. So no, he's not really. And he hasn't had one. I think that was his first one for DC United. His last one was in 2019 for Crystal Palace. And he hadn't had one before that since 2014. So no, I think this was just a rush of the blood moment. And to your point, you should expect more. And hopefully he's done the leadership thing with it. But that's where we're at. I don't think we should make too big of a deal about it in the aggregate. And we'll see if it won't become a pattern, because I just told you, like he said, 6. If he becomes Wayne Rooney also did not have a lot of red cards, and then he gets DC United and he got 3 because he was checked out towards the end of his playing time here. So keep that won't happen, but just throwing that out there.
Hopefully it doesn't happen.
You really hope it doesn't.
Yeah, and now DC heads. I think the biggest the Benteke red card is bad, but it doesn't. It changes the way you played. It certainly impacts you going offensively. I think the Akambone second yellow, and it's just an unfortunate. It's an unfortunate. I can't even recall like the first yellow he picks up. I'm not sure if he gets the yellow.
Might have been on the penalty,
maybe, possibly. I think maybe there's another foul. DC's pushing up. They're trying to push the game. They're still trying to get the goal. and then he just, I think he just, stops a promising attack, and that's a yellow every time. I will say, light criticism to the referee. I think he gave a yellow to Dahomey for diving in a simulation, which you can say there's no foul there, but I don't think like Dahomey was purposely diving. I think he gets muscled off the ball and then falls down. So there was a little bit of that action maybe going on with the official.
I was sitting with a referee also. By the way, you and him would vibe.
I'm sure we
so hard. You the two of you. Like he was actually applauding that call because he's like, yeah, he did that. If he had done that anywhere else in the field, it wouldn't have been a yellow. But it was he looked up immediately after the fact, trying to win that yellow, trying to win that penalty.
Fair enough.
And then he was also applauding him a lot. And also when people started throwing stuff. By the way, let's talk about that for a second. No, knock it off. There were a lot of I was in 133. There were people behind me who were awful and horrible the entire game, and they threw bottles. Also, people were able to bring water bottles in because it was 1,000,000 degrees, and that was all over the field too. So I think people find it a lot easier to throw a 25-cent water bottle than a $13 beer, but they threw both. Those were both happening. Please, no one listens to our show and does that, but just do not Also, do not run on the field, which was what a small child did at the end of the game. Don't do that. Don't do that. Whoa. The guy was walking him off, putting his arm around him, but I hope that whatever consequence comes his way is enough to make him think, this was dumb. I should not do this again. Don't send him to jail, by all means. Boy, give him enough community service that he does not think this is a smart plan.
What do you, like, why is it DC? Is it the nature of just, like, how, I mean, I think there is a divide. Like we have the people we talk to on the DC United Discord. We talk to the Anguses of the world, and sorry to call you out, Angus, but we talk to the people who also listen to the show and talk to this. And is it that disconnect of like we all are nerds. Let's get that out of the way.
That's
We're nerds.
Fact.
We study the MLS rules. We figure out the roster. We know like why this team is built the way it does. Regular Joe Schmo fan who doesn't take that level of detail maybe doesn't, and so they look at this and they say this team is so bad for so long. Like, is that like where it comes from? Is it that, or like why is this such an issue like at DC that it isn't an issue at other clubs where people are throwing things on the field? Because it feels like I don't see it anywhere else when teams are playing bad. Maybe those teams are just winning at home. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe that's the way to inoculate yourself against this is don't lose 4-1 at home. I don't know. I don't think it's related to the team's general performance. There were a lot of people there that seemed like this was the only game they went to all year, and that don't follow to your point and just got mad. It was hot. People were cranky, and even if the calls were legitimate, and a lot of them were, it built up. Like the number of them happened in a row where DC and I were just making mistakes. The red card started it off really in principle because your number 9 can do no wrong. So he clearly didn't do wrong. But then it just kind of picked up from there. The Dahomey dive, the appeal for the foul and the build up on Click for one of the goals that went to VAR and got pushed off. It just felt like everything was going against DC United, and they were just cranky and mad. But don't do it. There's no excuse for it. Just like there's no excuse for getting in the face of the referee after you just got a yellow card. There's no excuse for throwing stuff on the field. So just please stop.
Yeah.
Clearly, those folks who have went to their first United game are going to listen to RFK Refugees and be like, you know what? You're right. I shouldn't. I won't.
I mean, the only way I can think of is, there needs, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how you solve this. How you solve this issue. All right, let's talk. I think we've talked enough about this game. It was bad.
I want to cut a few more things. Jared Stroud looked amazing in a sub capacity. I think it was more seeing a man with energy coming on in the 80th minute in that game. I was like, holy moly. Wouldn't it be cool if he was always available in that capacity? But he had started every game, 19 games in a row. Until this one where they gave him a bit of a blow. He wasn't injured. They were just like, this is what we're going to do. So I want to point that out. And I also want to point out that Gabriel Pirani continues to be pointless, comes on in the 70th minute, and does pretty much nothing. I would say. Not that any of the subs did a lot more, but Stroud was good. Santos didn't even get a rating. Yeah, man. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to talk about. Oh, Tyler Miller getting a second start in a row.
I don't think you can point anything.
Nope.
No, he actually had a couple good saves as well, I think.
He did, particularly in the first half,
Mm-hmm.
when they were down on the Chico side. Let's just, by the way, since I brought him up, let's just answer the question that's in the thing here.
Yeah.
Itsuo says, did we learn anything from Tyler Miller's start on Saturday? What do we think Troy will and should do, assuming Bono is fit and available again? Keep in mind, this is his second start of the season. He also started the loss against Atlanta on Wednesday. I think what you should learn from that is he's a capable goalkeeper, that he's not going to get chipped from midfield anymore, I don't think. Although somebody did try it. I don't know who it was, but somebody did try it. I think that Alex will be back in net the next game against Red Bull, even though it's a bit of what's it, the dog's breakfast? Is that the saying? I think that's the saying. Google that afterwards. I'm pretty sure it means like a thing you don't want that is kind of gross. But maybe you say, Tyler, ride this little bit of garbage out, start this game with 11 players. And then when we're back somewhat full complement, Alex, you're back in. Now we're trying to win again. Let's go. Because we're not going to win in New York. The odds will be plus 800. They should be.
And I throw a $5 bet in there. See what happens.
Don't do it.
I could see them swapping it out just because it's like, we don't want to murder Tyler Miller's confidence right now. And I mean, honestly, this might be the first case where I wonder if, like, I mean, obviously you want to play every game, but I wonder if, like, who is Bono and Miller, where there's no guarantee you're going to be here next. One of you very well could be gone next year. I'm actually not even sure of their contract situation.
Well, I can tell you that Tyler Miller is making a lot more money.
Oh yes.
But 5 times as much.
But years wise, I'm not. I have to go back and look at what their contract situation is. But it's do you even want to go in a game like this and like have to put up? Because here's the biggest question. It's center back. And looking through the roster, like, what is this team going to do? I do not envy at all the situation that Troy Lesesne's going to have to put himself into. I don't know. Do you call back Hayden Sargis? I mean, that is really the question. Do you just say, you know what? It's really not even worth it. If I'm Hayden Sargis, I know my days in MLS are done and dusted, and I am actively looking for a new contract if I do not get called in this situation.
He posted a picture on his Instagram with just a picture of him playing and then like a smirking emoji after the DC United game. Take that for what it's worth. Who knows? Can't say for sure.
He's got a YouTube channel as well, apparently, so he's pushing that.
If any dads want to slide in our DM and let us know if that was what that was about. By the way, Tyler Miller and Alex Bono are both free agents at the end of this year.
So yeah, I mean they're both
Bono making 200, Miller making 425.
Yeah. So wow, Bono's making more than I thought.
He was making 80 the first year. He had a bump the second year.
Good, because it's expensive to live in Northern Virginia. So good for him.
That's right. Good luck. Alex and his girlfriend with roommates.
Yeah. So it's I don't know. Like, both these players are probably paying. I think DC's only conceivably going to keep one of them next year. I don't see any reason why. Right now, I guess Bono has the inside track because he's cheaper, and I think it opens up opportunities. So we'll see what happens. Next week, do you call back in Hayden Sargis?
Yeah, why not? He's playing on the bench. Neither of them are starting for their USL teams. Both him and Jeremy.
So you're starting Hayden Sargis.
I'm bringing him back.
You're bringing him back and starting. So it's like, because the team has no other center backs. They have Lucas Bartlett, and that's it.
And Matty
presumably,
Matty Peltola slides back.
Matty Peltola is not going to do well in a 2-man center back. He will do well in a 3-man center back, but he is not I guarantee you that is going to be a disaster. But maybe
Sargis starts.
Yeah, maybe that's your only option. I don't know. I could see Sargis playing, and then they shift back to a 3-man back line with Peltola in there to offer some support. But yeah, I don't know what the situation is going to be. I think that might be like the first. There's going to be a lot of questions. This might be like a good press conference to actually watch, because man, there's going to be a lot of questions coming up.
Somebody go rub Chris McVay's knee. Someone put some horse placenta a la Robin Van Persie. Rub it on his knee so that he's better and ready to go. Yeah, it's going to be a show. I bring them both, but to your question about he's asked about this all the time with injuries, and he really doesn't want to bring them back because I think he really thinks they're no good.
Yeah,
and he thinks that really it does not benefit the team at all to either have them playing or on the bench. Reasonable people can disagree about the second part of that. I trust the evaluation that these two players are not MLS caliber because no coach has thought so. And there have been quite a few that have looked at that. But from this perspective of saying, like, we have to go to Red Bulls and feel the team. We have to play the game and hope that no one else gets hurt on the back line. I think you certainly wouldn't want to rush McVay back for this.
No.
So I think it makes much more sense to bring a player in who's not playing. Either throw him out there and say, this is really just going to be a game that we have to get through and the result does not matter whatsoever. Or to your point, I think the 3-man back line is maybe the way to go. And Sargis. I think, maybe that's it. It's just going to be a mess. There's no way around it. You're going to have no Benteke. You're going to have the back line that we've discussed. And Red Bull is good. And we still have injuries otherwise. Christian Fletcher wasn't fit enough for this game. Jackson Hopkins wasn't fit enough for this game. Hopefully they're back.
Hopefully they're back. I don't know. Like I haven't even tried to do the math on this lineup, but like they could have like conceivably like 11 healthy players, and maybe that might be including 2 goalkeepers. Might be playing goalkeepers as bench players. Man, this team needs an MLS Next Pro team. All right, let's get to some.
Run through these questions.
Yeah, let's run through some questions. We got the Discord. Daryl Cooper. What do we got for prediction this game? I went 3-1 Red Bull. And I'm being optimistic with that.
I'm going to say 4-0 Red Bull.
4-0 Red Bull. That's my doom type result. All right, Daryl Cooper Trooper.
You do remember I had to sit in person and watch that loss, so my doom meter is higher than yours right now.
Fair enough. Daryl Cooper Troop says, do you think Benteke, Click, and Herrera are going to re-sign at the end of the season or leave this train wreck behind? Herrera, I'm pretty sure, has a contract through next year.
No, he's not. Holy crap.
Does he have an option?
Let's see.
He might guarantee you as an option.
It's not listed on Capology.
You got to go to the MLS website. But anyway, we'll get back to you on that. I think Herrera will be back. I think Benteke and Click have options. So if the team wants them back, they have to. They're under contract. Now they could say, I don't want to be here. I think maybe we're letting our emotions about this year get in the way. I would feel that they have to know that like help is on the way. I'm sure they've been given some assurances that, hey, this is the situation it is right now. Things will get better. We're definitely maybe looking to bring you guys back. I think it would be up to the team as to whether they want to keep them back. Both of them. I think Herrera will come back. I don't think there's any doubt about that. If it isn't, then goodness gracious, we might have a problem here.
And also hilarious what we gave up for him if that's the case and he doesn't come back, considering we gave up Ruan and I think 600,000 in GAM, I think this year.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up. I'm now you got me looking up.
I don't know. I hope that that's not the case. I think that he's again, we've talked about this. He's my pick for a jersey. I think he is phenomenal. I think he is what Andy Nahar was to me when he was good playing in center back, which is irreplaceable and in the top echelon of the league in what he does. And he's been relatively durable.
Yeah, I am almost positive he's got a Aaron Herrera. Yeah, so this is the last year of his contract. He does have 2 option years. An option year next year.
Club
right?
owned
No,
option?
2 option years. 2025, 2026. Sorry, I'm not.
Well, they'll be picked up.
Yeah, they'll most certainly be picked up.
I would redo his contract to give him some more stability and extend it, make it 3-year.
Yeah. We'll see. This is maybe the first big test for Ali Mackay is heading up. This winter is really going to be the test. I think this summer's again about just hit the signings you hit. Dominic Badji's coming back, which I don't think we've covered.
Nope.
He's a Band-Aid for sure. I think he's maybe. I think John, you hit it on the nail of the head. I think it's a better Band-Aid than what was his name? I can't think of his name right now.
Eric Hurtado?
Yeah, Hurtado. He's a better Band-Aid than Hurtado, but it's still a Band-Aid. And that's the team's cap situation. So
when am I not going to call Ally Mackay Ian Mackay? I don't know when it's going to happen. It hasn't happened yet. I almost did it just a minute ago. I think that to your point that this is going to be illustrative for us to watch what he does, because all of this year has been about like, boy, this team has screwed itself with its long-term contracts that it's signed. So will that scare him? Will he be less inclined to extend a player like Herrera, and will he value the short-term flexibility of those option years and just being like, year to year, man, this team's going to be chopping and changing, and I'm not going to ever be held hostage to the way that I have been this year due to previous roster mismanagement. It's going to be really interesting to see what his philosophy is in that way.
Yeah. I think this winter is going to be one of the more fascinating winners heading up. This team's going to have a lot of cap space to play with, a lot of guys gone, potentially maybe even more. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what he can do with that space.
Speaking of a listener of the show, we got some news from the season ticket holder meeting that occurred right before the game. It looks like there's going to be 4 players coming in this window, according to this. 2 of them already spoken for. The left back and the striker is David Schnegg and Dominic Baji, but also a center back and a midfielder. Center back and a midfielder.
Interesting. One of that'll be U22 initiative. They do still have 2 U22 initiative spots. I'm assuming Baji he has a green card. He lived in the US for years. I'm pretty sure, I think he comes back, so he does not take the international slot.
He better not.
Pirani's green card, they still have that one international slot open, even after, and Schnegg obviously takes Yaz's spot.
You said it. I think you said it. If this, or maybe it wasn't you, but it was like, if Baji is stealing the Pirani new international spot, I hate this signing.
Yeah.
If he has a green card, whatever, who cares? Fine. But it'll be again.
He might even, he might even be he got a green card. I think when he was in Colorado, he's lived in the U.S. enough. He might even be a U.S. citizen. I mean, truthfully,
MLS Cup winner Dominic Baji, who you'll remember had his ACL exploded in the game. He scored and had his ACL exploded, and then came off, and then they won in Colorado.
I don't think he takes up. I would be shocked if he takes up that international slot. So
we'll find out.
Related, since this is from Walgie related, why would Mateke want another year of attracting all the body blows, slams, grab pulls, maybe hits too? He gets from every team now that they know they can just focus on him. Houston game, this was a past example of treatment he gets. May he get some decent attackers, or am I out of here? I think you got to also look like this is probably his most prolifically successful attacking season he's had. Even last year too was maybe his next most prolific. Like, he's been absolutely, like, he has had an incredible, like, he has scored 27 goals over his 2 years. That's more than what he's done. Really, I think almost in a while, probably since his days at Belgium.
He scored 28 goals.
28 goals. I was close.
28 goals in those 2 seasons. His most prolific season before that was 10 in 2020. 15 in 2016 and 19 in 2012. So he is on one at the moment.
It's tough. It's tough going right now. I think a lot of this, like, I'm going to wait. I think let's see what the July window. The fact that you're hearing 4 players, I think, is music to everybody's ears to get some depth into this team. I think let's wait and see how the end of the season looks before we start maybe being a little bit.
And just to give people perspective on how well this season has gone for Benteke had 14 goals last year in 27, almost 2,800 minutes. He has 14 goals in 1,550 minutes right now.
Yeah.
So from a goals per minute perspective, goals per 90, he's going crazy. Also, in the season where he scored 19, he played 2,820 minutes. So he is, when he's doing well, he plays every minute. He does not come off. He's 28-20. I'm not sure how that is of many games they played in England, but he played 2,789 minutes in 31 games last year. So that's almost all of the games. Isn't that all the games? How many games of the season is 31 or 32?
For MLS, 34.
Yeah. Okay, so almost all the, so short 3 games. The man is durable. So I think he is very tough to get rid of in any context. I think even at this age, I don't think he's going anywhere. He's enjoying scoring goals, even if he's mad. I don't think he's getting more fouled now I can't find that stat. Maybe I can find that stat too. Here, and he is being focused on, but that's why he has so many goals. He has options A through R from the offense. That's why he's got all these goals. So it comes with a cost.
Yeah. Brandon, we're going to Twitter now. Brandon Zabran says, why do you think there's so much hesitation to bring back Garay and Sargis? Seems pretty evident that our bench will continue to be light. I think we talked about it. I think we have had multiple coaches look at these two guys and be like, they're not good enough.
Nope.
Maybe there was some hope for both Garea and Sargis when they were first signed on that they could develop into something, and it hasn't happened. And I think at a certain point, you look at that and these guys are both at the end of their contracts. I'm very, very, very positive about that. Let me just be clear. Yep, 2024 they have Hayden Sargis has an option for 2025 and 2026, and Jeremy Garea as well. 2024 options for 2025, 2026. I don't think those are going to be exercised. Nope. I think I've also talked to some people and they've been like, yeah, it's over for him. So, and they're not getting even minutes at their USL championship level. So. Nope. It's really like becoming a thing. So, Angus Long, third scenario here is Hopkins healthy enough to slot in Saturday. What would that mean if Patola covers the back four? You might get forced into it. I don't think it would do well I don't think it would do well. He would do well in that sort of back two. I think he does well in a back three. I mean, maybe honestly, like a Pedro Santos. I hate saying that, but I don't know
what
else.
Center back?
As a center back,
I think if I to your last question, I think it tells you everything you could possibly want to know about Hayden Sargis if Pedro Santos plays center back at Red Bulls. Yeah. I think that tells you all you need to know about at least Troy's opinion.
Yeah,
Garay probably played. Did Garay play some center back at any point in his career? I mean, certainly wouldn't want to put him there. In this scenario.
I don't know. Maybe. Richard Olsen says, question for tonight. So what do you think changed with United that they looked defeated when playing? I think it's the nature of the effort. And I think you talked about it. I think having your captain sent off in that manner, I think has an impact. And I think then the second red card, I think like literally, when Akamboni picked up the red card, you could see like Ted Kudipietro running over and just be like, just get off the field. Like, let's just get out of here. Like, this is over. This is done. Let's get over here before this gets worse. We don't want you getting any more games. Like, it's over. It's done. We're just going to have to move on.
I think you'll also wonder why their heads are hanging when these are your results. Loss, draw, loss. Since May 15th, the last one you had was May 11th. That's another reason why your heads are hanging, because you can't win a game. And that'll do it. That'll do it to you every time. Again, I was talking to my friend Nancy. Her son was asking, "Is this DC United's lowest point ever?" I was like, "Oh, young boy, no, it's
lowest
not.
point of 2024, probably." I'll go ahead and say that, but yeah,
there are other times that are much worse.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people here, complaining about ownership, and my response to that would be, ownership's not changing. It's like, oh, this will never change. We need to push for new owners. And I'm like,
ask the Swansea fans how well that strategy works out.
With
the same owners.
You can do whatever you want. These owners are not going everywhere. We really just have to hope that there are finally some other voices in there that maybe are pushing for some other, some things like we have with Ali Mackay. So yeah, you might be right. It might be all in the owners, and I think we'll find out here. We'll find out. I think by next year, I think we will know for sure whether this team is just doomed, in my opinion. So, Will Jones, last comment: Tubbs are solid. DC did great recruiting Tubbs. They found a good young center back. I think we all agree. So, again, you see things like that, and that gives you hope. All right, we did 50 minutes on DC. We just got so many questions. We definitely want to cover Spirit. Let's get into some positive. Let's talk Washington Spirit. 2-0 winners over Gotham FC. This game was played it got moved due to the heat, thankfully. Thankfully. I know it maybe doesn't do well for the TV, and I'm sure NWSL might not be happy about that. They got this big shiny TV deal. It was right up against the USA Bolivia game for the Copa America. And also, it got strung across two different networks, ESPNU, ESPN2. I'm sure they're not happy about that, but at the end of the day, I think it's for the player safety, because the heat was definitely having an impact on, I think, how proceedings went.
if they played that game at 1:00 on national television, there would be a lot bigger problems than having a fractured audience, because people are like, "What is this?" I thought Gotham was the Harlem Globetrotters of NWSL. What is this garbage? So good thing I didn't have it. But yeah, no, I think they also had been talking all week about how like there was a WNBA game that was going to be right before it, and they would have like it was just like a day of women's sports basically on national television. But it didn't work out. Either way, this was the right choice. The most exciting thing, for as we talk about the Spirit game, the most important thing to occur was that Andy Sullivan was healthy and played. That was the most important thing. That was I think I made a comment on Twitter after, I think Ella Brockway, who I think writes for the Washington Post and also is a member of the Hey Spirits podcast, said how bad that team looked without Andy Sullivan. I said they look like a car with a square wheel without her, and it's funny because you don't necessarily notice her impact every game, particularly with Hal Hirschfeld, the way that she's played in midfield, that she gets a lot more attention. But when Paige Mateer steps in for Andy Sullivan, you notice the drop off. And it was very evident the last home game with the 1-1 draw. They still don't even lose, even in those situations, because the Spirit are absurd and continue to get points at every option. But Andy Sullivan was healthy, came in, got fouled and had her shoe fly off at one point. Hopefully that was not the thing that was injured. Hopefully it wasn't her foot. But also another thing to note here, Ted and I were talking about this before the show started. Courtney Brown starts again and scores, but starts again in a position that Kate Wiesner has played, Ashley Hatch has played. I think probably another player has played as well. I think what you can draw from this is that Ashley Hatch is not a good left winger. She's not a good number 10. She's a great number 9. But Ule Sarr is not going anywhere. And I think that this team has a decision to make this year. They can say, Ashley Hatch, this is your time. You're going to go somewhere else. We're going to trade you this summer because that's when you have high value right now, and other teams that need you will take you. And we'll just have a little less cover, but maybe we'll get some value in return. Or this is maybe my pick, is that you ride her out through the year and understand that this is a team that looks like they can win the championship from my perspective, and probably your perspective as well.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you have to have contingency plans for every player. And that would be the best contingency plan for Ule Sarr, either losing her form or getting injured, that you could possibly have. And it might be worth more than whatever return you're going to get. But hard to say. You don't know what the market is for.
I'm not going to call this team like the runaway favorites to win the NWSL championship.
No, that would be the Pride.
Yeah, that would be Kansas City. That would be I think, Orlando.
Pride.
The Pride. Yeah. But like they look like a certainly a dark horse contender to you would not be surprised if the team, even as currently constructed, went on a run, won the NWSL championship. And that is before they have brought in, an international caliber center back, before they brought in Lacey Santos, who plays currently starting for the Colombian national team. So this team is like still stocking up and will stock up this summer. If Lacey Santos comes in and elevates his team even more, if they get, some good cover at center back, that's probably still their weakest position. This team, I think, could go on an absolute tear and potentially become, turn themselves into a contender. And I think it's still surprising to me how we all came into this year thinking this would be a long season, and just it is completely turned on its head. Like, young players have stepped up, Bethune again. Her ability, even in this game, the goal comes from a counterattack. It comes from, I honestly, through this game, I was like, man, like no team looked good. Like everybody looked like the Heat, and everything was just impacting things. I'd say Gotham probably looked the best. I think maybe there was some sloppy passing going on between the Spirit. I think they made a couple I think right before the goal, they have kind of a bad pass, but they sort of do enough where Gotham doesn't really generate many chances. They don't get that really high quality, XG type chances. And then comes sort of essentially a breakaway where, Bethune sort of makes a step, wins the ball, finds Sarr, and then, Gotham kind of forgets where they are. They kind of all collapse, and Bethune just kind of sneaks out onto the left side. Brilliant ball from Sarr. Great job from Bethune to hold the offside line.
And it was close. It went to VAR.
It went to VAR, but it didn't last very long. So, and it looked to me on the commentator as a whole, I was getting a little, the color person, I was getting a little annoyed at, because she was, and I'll get into a minute. I'll get into the Gotham red card.
She was
But
definitive that she was off. By the
yeah,
way.
she was like, "Oh, he's off. She's off." And I'm like, "Well, you can." Like, I looked at the angle, and I'm like, "She's tiptoeing that line." The angle itself was kind of like, yeah, to me, I was like, I'm not. I wouldn't be surprised if that's off, but also I'm not surprised that's on either, because I think from the angle, I've watched enough of these games where I can kind of judge it at least a little bit. But hey, maybe there maybe there wasn't a good enough angle, and she was actually off. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Bethune again on the dribble, like you said, just her ability. I don't know, like, how a player gets that ability where they can have players just collapse on them, but they can still find that, like, that ball size of space between them to play the ball. And then it's just like, it's a great shot and a great goal from Courtney Brown. And they go up 1-0, and Gotham, I think that's kind of a backbreaker for Gotham, who maybe had the better of play. And then we get the situation with the red card. Did you see that situation much at all, or did you know what was really happening?
No, certainly did not understand what was happening.
So
this is like prime referee explainer red card
So
situation here.
yeah, so what happens in this game, for those who don't know? I believe I think it was Ryan for Gotham. I think she went off the field for an injury. You can see her start to go onto the field, and they show a nice replay of this. You can see, someone said it was the assistant. I thought it was the fourth official. You can see the fourth official beckoning her, get back onto several times, get back. She kind of looks back, gives sort of like this, say like there's a play going on, like there's an attack. And then she kind of and then she's like, no, you need to get back. The center referee has not waved you on. You need to get back. You need to get back. She gives her like 4 chances to come back. She doesn't. She runs onto the field. And then I think honestly, the fourth official says, hey, you, Ryan went onto the field without being summoned on by you. I know some people talk about, well, we want players to be protected. Why get involved in the frivolous stuff? Doesn't matter. Letter of the law, that's a yellow. That
and
referee
to your
is
point, and to your point, they gave her like 5 strikes.
Yeah, they gave her several strikes. No referee wants to be in a situation where they're doing something like that. I could see out in the stadium, maybe on the broadcast, that's confusing. That's a yellow. You are entering the field without the referee's permission. That is it. You go look at the laws of the game. Go look at a yellow. That is literally outlined very clearly in the laws.
It would be like if you're taking a penalty and the other player runs into the net. Yeah, like before you take your penalty, but it's like you just can't do it. Don't do that.
And I've seen it happen. I think it happened to Brilliant once in a situation where I think he thought the referee had waved him on. He ran on from the end line, where you're not supposed to do. You're supposed to come from the middle of the field. And it seems, I know a lot of people feel like it seems ticky-tacky, but when you're in a situation, I don't think you can blame the referee in that situation. He's being assessed. He has people that are watching that. If he does not give a yellow there, I guarantee you that is something that he is going to get hammered for on his assessment.
And it was the second yellow, correct?
Yeah, second yellow. So honestly, that is the situation of what it is. There were a couple moments. I think there was a situation where Trinity, Rodman gets kind of body slammed. I think the referee looks at it as 2 players kind of running into each other. You kind of watch it on slow-mo replay. You can see Trinity Rodman kind of pull up and the player kind of bowl over Rodman. So I could see maybe the frustration from some fans who are like, well, I think the primary should be protect the players. Why is that, not getting a yellow? At the end of the day, though, it's kind of I don't really have much sympathy for a player who's told several times by an official, hey, you need to come back. You need to come back. He hasn't waved you on yet. And then he says, well, I'm going to go on anyway. And the referee's like, okay, well, that's a yellow. See you later. Same situation, honestly, with the whole Benteke thing. Yeah, you might get away with it, but when you're on a yellow, maybe don't do that. Yeah.
I think that's fair. I want to talk about some other. Well, obviously, Rodman scores an amazing goal in the 46th minute. I'm trying to remember the buildup other than the shot. The shot I can recall. The buildup I'm struggling to.
It really happens in the first part of the game, and I think it comes from actually Casey Kruger, who dribbles in, gets given a ton of space by Gotham, and then the whoever the Gotham left back is, I'm sure she will have that on video, and she will see that on video and say man, maybe you need to kind of mark Trinity Rodman at the top of the box, because basically had acres of space. It's really an easy pass. And And I think that's sort of like the nature of this game was that the Spirit, maybe they didn't play their best, most dominant style of game, but they made it difficult on Gotham to score. And anytime, the Spirit got chances, it was very easy, almost effortless for them to move into the box and to find opportunities. And I think that'll be kind of the narrative of this game.
That's Kruger's 3rd assist, by the way, this season. That's pretty good. Bethune had her 9th assist today in this game to go along with her 5th goal in 14 matches. So yeah, that's 14 goal contributions in 14 matches as a rookie. Totally normal. Totally something you should have and could have expected. By the way, their names often are synonymous and are tied together. Ashley Sanchez also scored a golazo for North Carolina, who, by the way, is coming to Audi Field next. So if there's another game you're looking to go see, it's that game. Come see the Courage versus the Spirit. Although I will say I hate those games. Courage and the Spirit are oil and water. They do not go together well. The games tend to not be that good, but I'm very excited to see Sanchez play against the Spirit.
Yeah.
From a neutral perspective.
Yeah, 90. I'm looking at I'm checking in on the little FBref stats on Croy Bethune. 85 percentile shot creating actions. I mean, this is her rookie season too, so she's just been a monster.
Couple other things I want to call out. Ulay Sar in her 3rd consecutive game without a goal scored. Previously, she had scored 3 in a row, had one game where she didn't, and then scored 2 more. So all of her scoring came in one big bunch. I think this goes to my earlier comment about potentially keeping Hatch as a option, particularly if she stays cold. I think she goes as well as the relationship with Croy goes. When they find each other well, that's when Sar was having her best moment. So just something to watch there. Courtney Brown obviously got that goal. Andy Sullivan, thank you. You're back. Gabby Carl, also extremely important to be back. Kate Wiesner also played, I think, the last 15 minutes of the match. Very important to have her from depth perspective. She's the only other fullback that we can look at. And then Kingsbury, I want to talk about the penalty save.
Yeah.
Who do you remember who won the penalty for the Spirit or for Gotham?
It was a handling call, and I have some thoughts on this. I think this was a harsh, extremely harsh penalty call. If you don't know how handling works, I think this is where I think they kind of nailed it on why they called it on the broadcast and maybe why it wasn't overturned. The general rule of thumb is like if you're in your kicking motion and like your arms are swinging because you're kicking the ball and then you mishit the ball and it goes up and smacks your arm. The rule of thumb is that's not a PK. They don't want to give away sort of cheap calls like that. I think the reason this one gets called is it pops up, it hits like her hand that's like kind of sitting close to her body, and then her other arm is outstretched, and then it hits her hand. I'll be very curious to see if there's if Pro usually does a report where they go back and they look and they see whether this should have been called or not. I'll be very curious to see what they say about this one. It's a tough one to give up. It almost doesn't matter because, again, ball doesn't lie, and Kingsbury saves it. But very, very harsh. I'm going to say a very harsh PK call.
Full extension save, too. She got all the way to the post on that.
Yeah.
It is wild to me. Obviously, this is injury. Injuries have robbed this Gotham team, I think, of a lot. But when you think of all the moves that got made, and then Katie Stengel with her no goals is the player A starting at forward in this match and taking the penalty in the 90th minute or the 80, whatever, towards the end of the minute. Just something to this team. By the way, Crystal Dunn has not done what you'd want so far this season. She has how many goals? 1 goal and 1 assist through 14 matches. Rose Lavelle, let's look at her. She came off, I think, with a slight injury. This season, she has 3 goals, no assists in 10 matches. So 10 matches through, I think, 19 possible. Is that how many they played? Yeah, I think that's correct. They have played 14. So she's not missed too many. She missed the beginning of the season. But these are all players that were brought in. We talked about it. The whole league bought into it as they're going to be league destroyers. And they're in 4th place. They're certainly performing well. But I don't think it's been necessarily on the strength solely of all like the Harlem Globetrotters that got brought in. By the way, such as their embarrassment of riches, I think 3 weeks ago, they brought in the goalkeeper that they started, Berger, who was the goalkeeper at Chelsea for quite some time, just as a player they could bring in, in the midseason. Berger. Yep. So Yeah. Anyway, it's a great win. This is both this game and the previous one where they were able to get a draw. I was talking about how important it would be for this club to measure themselves against sort of the top of the table. They still have to play the Pride, and they still have to play Kansas City. Kansas City comes in August. You have reminded me a couple times now. I wonder when the Pride comes again. I will note the hard fought 1-1 San Diego draw is now a bit kind of looks a little funky because 2 games later they fired Casey Stoney out there in San Diego. Some interesting elements about that. I was talking to someone about this earlier, like why this coach and not other coaches that are having teams that are getting just smacked around. The reason why is that the expectations for San Diego, any team that has Alex Morgan and all the other players that they've got in that roster, the expectations are going to be you're not going to be out of the playoff picture this late in the season, and they are. The funny part is that the assistant coach who is now the interim head coach, Ron, I think Buckle, is the former head coach of Sacramento Republic. And that's notable because the owner of the San Diego Wave is the former owner of the Sacramento Republic. Also, a small note: the new interim head coach's wife is Rebecca Lowe. So maybe they get some mention on NBC. So anyway, just throwing that out there. That game felt so hard won. That draw felt so hard to get, and not 2 weeks later they're like, you're out of here. You're done. Because if you look at the rest of the bottom of the table right now, Utah Royals, everyone assumed they would stink. They do. Seattle Reign, rebuilding, stinky. Houston Dash, perpetual stinky. The AFC expansion team has a great has a couple great players. They're not there yet. Angel City, the thing they built their team around. Kristen Press is finally back in training, who may be coming out soon, but San Diego Wave is the big surprise down there. If you look at that roster of U.S. national team starters, can't be that bad.
Yeah, and also, I mean, you look at they are the I guess that compared to Utah Royals have 7 goals, Houston Dash have 11, and then right next there is San Diego Wave with 12 goals in 14 matches. I mean, less than a goal per game with that type of attacking force is not good. Whereas the Spirit, as you say, have 29 goals in 14 games. They are scoring like 2 goals, almost 2 goals a game. And the Current are just absolutely are blowing it out of the water. But still, yeah, it's strange. It's interesting to me how like NWSL continues to be very random when it feels like it should be a league that is, where there are perpetual teams at the top. And it still feels like a league that's very random. Sorry, you're laughing now.
I'm laughing. I'm just looking at their goal. I'm just looking at the amount of they've scored 5 goals 3 times so far this season. They've scored 6 goals, I think, once. Just bananas. That game. By the way, get your tickets. Get your tickets now.
It's bananas too because of the coach Vlatko being just like everybody talked about how this guy was like an awful coach, and I feel like the U.S. and just he has come in and been like, I am going to show you what a good coach I can be. Man, just for me, it further underscores national team managers are not a normal job. And it's not a job that a guy who like I could see like there are some national team managers that like never translate it to club management. I'm willing to bet there are now plenty of club managers that just cannot do a national team. Like it is such a different job than doing that. And I think this proves it.
So August 18th, August 25th against Arsenal and against Kansas City Current. If you can't get your butt to Audi Field for those 2 games, I don't know what's wrong with you. I think this is particularly the Current game. That's going to be something to see.
Yeah. And the Spirit, where do they go? Where do they go next?
They're home to the Courage, and then at Bay FC in San Jose, up in Chester against Chivas in the Summer Cup.
Yeah,
Gotham in the Summer Cup, which is a bit silly. I don't know why they.
So we're looking at 2 more games before the break. Games. So yeah, before not the fake games, but the break. Essentially,
get real excited about Gotham and Red Stars in the cup. I mean, like Chivas, go win that game by all means. But the other ones, who cares, man? Who cares?
All right. I think that will do it. It's been a fun show. I know hasn't been all great, but I feel like this was necessary. Thank you guys
We
so
hope
much.
you enjoyed. We hope you enjoyed us enjoying the one horrible loss, and then the one team that seems to be good.
I feel like we got through, we worked through the bad. I think we're still all realizing what this team is. And, if this is your first show, if you're like, man, I can't, I really want to hear them rip into the team. Hopefully maybe we convinced you that, there's reason to hope. There's a lot of hope, and go look up MLS club profiles, look at all the players that are nearing the end of their contract. Some are good, but they have option years. So I think
also, if you want to hear us rip this team, consult the archives. There's plenty.
Oh,
there's plenty of that for you.
Plenty of that.
Go back one year,
man.
1 year today, probably.
There are changes coming. There are changes now at the front office. So, yeah, just you can be hopeful. All right, that's gonna do it. I got patreon.com/RFK Refugees. You want to join it? I want to say out. I'm so sorry that I have not been keeping up with the writing. These games have kind of gotten me down. I might try to see if I can put something out. I'm taking some vacation. I might be inspired to maybe write a little more, summation. And I also do have some player previews I am planning on doing, but I've maybe been pushing it out because, they still have some time before they even get onto the field. So again, thank you guys so much for all your support. We'll catch you guys next week. Vamos.